Okay, in this video we're going to focus a lot of attention just on creating our unit circle and filling in all the values all the way around. Basically you'll be able to take this blank copy and be able to give me this completed version. So that's what we're going to be able to do start to finish. Now I'm going to try to break it down into certain subsections so that you can have a little bit of method to the madness. So when I hand you this thing, for your quiz and you have a blank one. The first thing I want you to do is we'll label our degrees all the way around. How many degrees are in a circle? 360. And if I just told you first, let's do our eighths, our sections here. So if we had a point, let me see if I can get my marker to work. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sections. If I divide 360 by 8, then how much is each section going to be? 45 degrees. So go through and in these degrees section, label all your degrees for the blue dots. So if I had this, label all of your sections. And then the next thing I want to do is I want to do radians. So if I know all the way around is pi radian, 2 pi, then I would say, well, 2 pi divided into 8 sections means each part, each little pi, is pi fourths. So if you follow around, you're going to have 1 pi fourth. Just watch first. 2 pi fourths would be next, which goes here, but it needs to be reduced because 2 pi over force reduce. Sometimes it may be easier to go around and then go back and reduce just so you don't make mistakes. 2 pi force, 3 pi force, 4 pi force reduces, 5 pi force, 6 pi force reduces, 7 pi force, 8 pi force reduces to 2 pi. So next go through and fill out your radian degree on your blank unit circle. The next thing I'm going to ask you to do is I say, if I was to take a circle and section it into 12 equal pieces, if you'll just focus on the orange here, and I said 360 divided by 12 means each of these orange pieces are how much a piece? 30. So go ahead, pause this video, and fill in your degrees. Next, we have to do the radians. Okay, so the radians, the entire circle is 2 pi. If I divide it into 12 chunks or 12 slices, which is the orange pieces, then each of the orange slices are pi 6. So watch and then I'll give you a minute to fill it in. We start with 1 pi 6. We move to the next one, which is 2 pi 6, and it needed to be reduced. 3 pi 6 is here. 4 pi over 6. 5 pi over 6. 6 pi over 6 reduced to pi. 7 pi over 6. 8 pi over 6. 9 pi over 6 reduces. 10 pi over 6. 11 pi over 6. So pause the video, fill in all of the remaining radians. On this very next section, all I want you to do is to fill out what this would be on a unit circle if I was at this point. It's the ordered pair 1, 0, our quadrantal angle points pretty much. And then this ordered pair here would be the ordered pair 0, 1. The ordered pair for 180 is -1, 0. And 0, -1. And this is because it's a radius 1. So if I started my coordinate system here at the origin, 0, 0, that would be 1, 0. 0, 1. -1, 0. 0, -1. And then we want to recall that the cosine and the sine, these come from our definitions. Remember we said sine of theta is equal to the y value? and the cosine of theta is the x value. So because of our definitions, we know that this ordered pair represents the cosine and the sine. So this is because of our definitions over here that I can put that value in that place, and I'm going to remember that whenever I calculate values using my unit circle. Okay, so now we have our degrees and our radians filled out. We want to fill out our points for those respective locations. In our notes previously, if you recall, when we figured out 45 degrees, the point associated with 45 degrees was square root of 2 over 2, comma, square root of 2 over 2. We also calculated 30 degrees with these point values and 60 degrees with these point values. Of course, this is 1, 0, and this is our quadrangle 0, 1. So be very comfortable in knowing quadrant 1. If you know and memorize quadrant 1 and the values here, then we can use it to fill out the rest of the quadrants. So I want you to watch how this works. I want to recall that basic algebra, when we have a coordinate system, I'm in the first quadrant, this is a positive, right? When I'm getting into the second quadrant, if I start at 0, 0, I must go negative, then positive. So I'm remembering the signs that are associated with each quadrant. Basic algebra. I start at 0, 0, I go left, which is negative, and down, so negative, negative. And then for quadrant 4, positive, negative. So watch how this applies. If I memorize quadrant 1, then I can also apply and copy straight across because of symmetry. Okay, because of symmetry. So this 1/2 square root of 3 over 2. 1/2 square root of 3 over 2 across, across, across. And then I need to apply the sign for that quadrant. That means all of the x values need to have a negative sign. All of the y values, we're going to leave them positive. So we're able to copy the values in this location over here, and then we apply the signs. Similarly, we're going to copy values diagonally because of symmetry. Like I said, x-axis and y-axis symmetry. So square root of 2 over 2, square root of 2 over 2, you get the same thing. Copy across, copy diagonally, and then apply the signs for the quadrant. Because quadrant 3 is negative, negative, it means my x value and the y value will be negative for each of the points. And then for the last one, diagonally in the other direction. So 1/2 square root of 3 over 2. If I follow this, 1/2 square root of 3 over 2, but I need to have a positive for the x value and a negative for the y value. So I need to make all my y values negative in quadrant 4. With that in mind, we have now completed our unit circle, and this is the end product. We've broken it into pieces. We've done our degrees, and then we've also went back, put our radian values in. That was the next thing it did. We filled out quadrant 1 by the values we calculated in class previously in the lesson, and then we applied symmetry across and the sign values for each quadrant to fill in the rest of our unit circle. The last thing I want to make a reference to is this positive, and we usually use the all students take calculus to help us remember. All of the 6 trig functions are positive in quadrant 1. Only sine and its reciprocal is positive in quadrant 2. Only tangent and its reciprocal is positive in quadrant 3. And only cosine and its reciprocal secant is positive in quadrant 4. So that's why we remember ASTC. All students take calculus to help us remember what trig functions are positive in the respective quadrants.